Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second day of the final conference of the project Regions4PerMed. We apologize for the 14 minutes delay due to some technical issues, as usual. So I would like to kick off this second day with let's call it an inspiring talk from the Big Picture project, which is a project funded by the European Commission under IMI work program. And to talk about the project, we have Professor Joren van der Lak from the Radboud University Medical Center. Please. So this is the presentation. Here you go up, down, back, and here is pointer. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, and also thanks for inviting me to tell you a bit about our Big Picture project. My name is Jeroen van der Lak. It's a tough name for people not from the Netherlands, so seldomly people really pronounce it correctly. And I will show you some stuff about the Big Picture project. And first, I would like to show you a bit what is the reason that we started on this, let's say, journey. I have to show you my financial disclosures. So I have some companies that I work with. I think most importantly, the EUSIN, which is a spin-off company from my research group. And as you may be aware of, so IMI is a funding scheme in Europe. And IMI, in our case, so this Big Picture was funded within the IMI funding scheme. And in IMI, we work together with FPA, and FPA is the organization of pharmaceutical companies. So in this call, the FPA is, let's say, together with the European Union, decided on what kind of program they wanted, and they, let's say, defined the outlines of Big Picture, which I will go to in a minute. And so Big Picture was funded in, so there was an IMI 2 call 18, and one of the topics in call 18 was a central repository of digital pathology slides to support development of artificial intelligence tools. So when we saw this as a research group, we decided that we want to embark on this, and we defined the Big Picture project. And, well, the project was funded later. Now, the reason for us to start on this, let's say, to write this project proposal and to go into this direction, is actually goes back a couple of years. So in 2016, we organized an international competition, which is called Chameleon. And we did it again in 2017. So we have two international competitions, challenges as we call them, which are called Chameleon 16 and Chameleon 17. And in these challenges, what we did was we offered a lot of data to people in the field that were interested. And we asked them to help us solve a problem, which is a relevant problem in histopathology. So what we did was we defined the problem, which is in this case is about detecting lymph node metastasis of breast cancer patients in histopathological slides. And this challenge format is a thing that we have done a lot in radiology. And it's a great tool. So what you do is you collect data, you define a problem, you share the data with everyone interested. And basically what you give them is just a complete package, right? You say, okay, this is the data, this is the problem to solve. And basically you give them everything that is needed to solve that problem. And the great thing here is, rather than just having your own PhD student working on his own on a data set, now you just say, do some kind of a crowdsourcing. You ask everyone in the world that is interested to try and solve your problem. Now in pathology, this was the first time that actually entire scan slides were shared. So in radiology, this was quite common. In pathology, this was the first time. And we managed to have 1,400 scan slides. A lot of them were had detailed annotations, which was over 3 terabytes of data. Now this data was downloaded, and this is already an old slide, was downloaded 1,500 times. 1,500 times people downloaded the entire data set, which is 4.5 petabytes of data that was downloaded. And if you look at the graph here, you can see all the different countries that downloaded this data. And what we did was, at that time, it was not so easy to share this amount of data. So what we did was we used a Google Drive, very simple basically. And also because in China, Google is not accessible, we used Baidu Pan, which is kind of a system in China that you can use. Now, what we learned from this, we learned a lot from this, but one of the things we learned from this is that there is a huge hunger for data. The fact that 1,500 different parties all over the world downloaded our data, of which quite a lot participated in this challenge, in this competition, but a lot of people used the data for all kinds of purposes, all kinds of machine learning purposes in pathology. What we learned from that is actually that there was a huge shortage of data. So everyone likes to use this data. And well, the publication on this challenge was published in 2017. And what we found was, again, that there was a lot of, let's say, activity around it, a lot of interest of people around this. So basically, we just thought, okay, let's try to set up this challenge and let's see if people are interested in working on pathology images. But this really was so much bigger than we expected. And just to show you an example, so the news about this challenge and the news about the algorithms that were developed were picked up by websites, not just this one. But actually, we have tens of different websites that wrote about this challenge and about the data that we shared. And as you can see, for instance, in the top center one, you can see that not everyone understood because this is about pathology and a lot of people put mammography images there, so they didn't really grab the essence, I think. Now, next to, let's say, all these different websites and newspapers that picked up this news, even this report from the US White House, which is about the future of AI, they picked this up and they show in this report the outcome of our competition. So this had a lot of impact in a very broad sense. And lastly, also a lot of companies, big companies, took our data and worked on this problem. So here you can see companies like MathWorks, Texas Instruments, Google even. Google did a lot of stuff on our data. Now, why is this important? What we realized from all of this is that there is a lot of promise, let's say, in AI in pathology, but the huge limiting factor is data. So lots of people are trying to get access to data. A lot of companies, a lot of researchers, small companies, but there is a huge shortage of data. Now, realizing that, we also understood that if we want to move this field forward, we can, on one hand, we can just develop our own AI, we can work on AI. I'm a computer scientist, I have a research group of close to 30 people. But actually, the biggest impact we can make is not in building our own AI. The biggest impact we can have is in collecting and sharing data with the world, because then everyone can build AI. So we set a big picture and just a number of small key figures. Big picture has 45 partners all over Europe, of which 10 are large FPI companies, so pharmaceutical companies. We have 32 million funding from the European Union, and the pharmaceutical companies have an in-kind contribution of another 38 million. We started a bit more than 2 years ago. The project will take 6 years, and we have 15 countries in it. Now, just a bit about big picture. So basically what we want is we want to really to help the digital transformation of pathology move forward. We hope that in 6 years, or with the help of this project, pathology will become much more digitized by offering data, but especially also helping people to develop AI, because we believe that AI is really going to help pathology move forward in the digital world and help pathologists. And why we want to do this, I think I already alluded to that a bit. We think that the use of AI in pathology has a number of very important key characteristics. So we think that it can help us to refine our knowledge of disease. It will help us to find better treatments by studying pathology in a very structured manner. Of course, if we develop AI, we can really start to use it in clinical practice, so we can have pathologists use it and have better diagnostic accuracy, diagnostic efficiency. And especially in pharmaceutical research, preclinical research, it can also help to replace, reduce, and refine animal research. So because you can share a lot of data, also preclinical data, among different pharmaceutical companies, you may be able to reduce the amount of animals that are required. Now, how do we want to do this? We want to make the data, but also the AI models available by setting up, let's say, by working with a lot of different people all over Europe. And we want to be very inclusive in that. So we want everyone that is interested to be part of this. So Big Picture really tries to build this community with a lot of stakeholders that are of interest. What we want to create in the end is a repository, and I will show that in a lot more detail in a minute. So we want to build a repository, and in the repository we want to have 3 million slides that are shareable with pretty much everyone that is interested. We want to have very high quality data with annotations, with metadata to that. And also within the repository we want to be able to have AI algorithms being developed but also being deployed. And what we try to do, as I said, we want to be inclusive. So this is not just for the people in the let's say in the project, in the consortium, but it should be much wider than that. It should be sustainable. We don't want this to stop after 6 years, but we actually want it to start after 6 years. So it should be there much longer. We want to connect different stakeholders, facilitate collaboration. It should be reliable and it should be trustworthy. If you bring in your data or your model, you should trust the system and feel secure that that your data, your models are safe. Now, briefly to talk about the Big Picture community. So what are the stakeholders that we think we should include here? So this is actually very broad, and it's basically pretty much unlimited. So what we see on our vision now is we have AI companies like startups, but also larger companies. We have biobanks, we have pathologists, of course. We have the public, we have government. We can have CROs, mid-large cap companies, researchers, farmers there, but also the regulators, EMA, FDA. So all of these people have an interest in looking at the data, looking at the development of AI, regulating development of AI, looking at the ethical side of that. So all of these people we try to have in this Big Picture project. And here you can see all the different parties at this point. So these are the 45 parties that are present in the project now. As you can see, it really covers a lot of different countries and a lot of terrain. Also, next to academics, we have companies. We have, for instance, also the European Society of Pathology. We have legal firms. So we have a very broad range of expertise. Now, in the platform, we foresee 4 different use cases. So 4 different ways of, let's say, working with the platform. The easiest is comparable to what I showed you for the Chameleon challenges, which is basically downloading data. So someone that has an interest, let's say you have a small company that wants to build a product on breast cancer, they can just approach us and they can get access to breast cancer histopathology. And they can download the data and use it for AI development. Basically the most straightforward solution. Now, another use pattern that we see is let's say the reverse of that, the upload of an algorithm that you can run on data that exists within Big Picture. So if we have data sets that we cannot freely share, which happens, then we can also ask someone not to take the data and use it, but we can ask someone to bring the algorithm to the data and then get back the results of, let's say, how their algorithm performs on that data. Now, this is a great way, for instance, if you want to be able to do some kind of external validation of AI. So suppose you build AI for prostate cancer detection and you want this to be validated. We can offer you a data set that you cannot touch yourself. You're not allowed to download it. But you can bring your AI to the data and we can tell you, okay, your algorithm performs like this and this on this data set. So this could be a nice independent external validation of AI. The third one would be if you have an AI within Big Picture, you could download the AI, so like an app store, right? You can just download an algorithm and use it on your data. And again, the other side, the other direction, you could say, okay, the AI is in Big Picture, you're not allowed to touch it, but you can upload your data to Big Picture and then you get results of a certain AI algorithm on that data, so you get results back. And what we envision is that there is some kind of a value stream around this. So let's say we can have data, algorithms, annotations go into Big Picture, go out of Big Picture. And this will help us to promote research, have better tox screening, improve diagnostics, improve access to data, and also reduce costs. Now the structure of the repository will be like this, or I should say the structure of the bigger community will be like this. So at the center is a repository. So the repository you are now building, and the repository has the compute, the storage, and also a layer of security. And for this repository, we make use of existing Elixir technology. So Elixir is a software stack, or is a whole system that was built for genomics data. And this has been used in production for many years now. It's proven. So we decided to just take Elixir and build upon that, because this is already proven technology. Now, around it, we have the big picture platform. And the big picture platform has routines for data processing, quality management. So if you bring in your images, we can, for instance, convert them to DICOM. We can do quality management. We can check if the quality is okay. We can check if the metadata are complete. We will also build AI algorithms and have some user interaction possibilities. So we have a user interface that can help you to see the images, annotate the images. And also we will work on the regulatory side. So we will also talk to regulators about what is the ethical, the legal side of things, right? We can collect data, but are we allowed to collect data? Can we share them? With whom can we share them? What kind of contracts are needed? And this is a very, very specific and not easy part of the project. Now, so we will bring data and AI algorithms into this platform. Around it, we will have the community. And the community is pretty much everyone. It could be you, it could be anyone in the world, Europe or the world. And we have, and I will get back to that later, we have the honest broker mechanism. So the honest broker is a party that will take care that all the legal, let's say, administrative stuff is being dealt with. So they will take care that if you come to them, they can answer your questions. They will take care of, let's say, the contracts that have to be signed. They will take care that all the data are structured in the right way. Now, the structure of the project. So we will build an infrastructure that will be able to hold 4.5 petabytes initially, which is 3 million sites. That is work package 2. In work package 3, we will collect the data. So that's a lot of pathologists involved. Work package 4 is about tools. So we will have tools for AI, but also tools for getting access to the data, being able to view the data, convert the data to different formats. Work package 5 is, as I said, it's about regulations. So it's about also the acceptance, contracts. And work package 6 is about sustainability. So how can we ensure that after the 6 years of the project, when the funding stops, we can still continue with big picture. We have a number of milestones. This is just for the first 3 years. And at this point, we are in month 25, I think, 26. And as you can see, we had a first, let's say, version of the repository, so the software stack in month 10. This honest broker, we had a first pilot mechanism in month 16, and we have the first clinical data in our repository in month 18. So that already exists. And the next steps will be that we also get non-clinical data, so animal data. And halfway the project, we hope to have a first business plan for sustainability as well. Now, I will briefly lead you through the different work packages and give you some details here. I will not go into a lot of depth. If you're interested, there is a lot of information on our website, and of course you can always approach me. So if you look again at this graph, so work package 2 is about this central part repository. And here you can see the different parties involved. So we have some pharmaceutical companies and some academic parties. And they are developing this, let's say, this infrastructure, which is really very low-level, basic infrastructure about collecting the data, storing the data, retrieving the data, being performant, being secure. And as I said, we will build this on existing Elixir technology. We will build this in a way that basically there is a federated possibility. So we can have federated nodes that have different data sets that that in the end have some kind of a virtual, that are virtually together. In the project, we will not make use of that. So in the project, we will have 2 nodes that will contain all the data, everything. But the setup is such that we can add new nodes, and these new nodes can also have federated data. I will not go into a lot of detail, but now we have 2 nodes, one in Finland that has all the data, and we have a second node in Sweden that also will have all this data. Now, work package 3, as I said, is about collecting the data. So this is about a lot of pathologists all over Europe. And the way we want to do this is we have defined seven different areas. So we have cancer, kidney, which is non-oncological kidney, liver, same non-oncology, lung. Then we have the preclinical data, those are the animal data. We have skin, and we have data from clinical trials. And all of these nodes have a specific node coordinator. So one academic party is responsible. And every node will collect data from a lot of parties that connect to them. So the node is not completely responsible themselves for bringing in the data. They're responsible for collecting data from a bigger number of parties. The nodes are coordinated by a node coordinator board. So there is a board that will keep track of what goes into the repository, that we don't get just prostate, but we want to have a nice broad range of, let's say, different organs, different diseases, but also different geographic areas. And the node coordinator board is advised by a multi-stakeholder advisory board and by an ethics advisory board. Now, we already know we will have access to at least 4.5 million clinical slides. We will need 1 million of those in this project. And for the preclinical slides, within the FPR partners, we have 10 million potential slides available. We will take 2 million of these. So basically, we should have more than sufficient data. Now, the honest broker I already alluded to a bit. So the honest broker is a lot of mechanisms, processes, automation, but also contracts to take care that if you share your data with us, we know exactly how this works in terms of, for instance, GDPR. Who is the owner of the data? Who is the data controller, the data processor? Which contracts should be where between who has a say in the data? This is very, very difficult stuff. I'm a computer scientist. For me, it's pretty much impossible to even completely understand all of it. But it's extremely important because if we don't, let's say, arrange this properly, then we can end up with data that is not shareable or with very difficult lawsuits, for instance. Okay, I will not go into a lot of detail. Work package 4 is a lot about, Work package 4 is a lot about developing AI algorithms. We will not do a lot of development, but we will develop some. And it's also a lot about building, let's say, the tools to get data into and out of the repository. Then work package 5, as I said, is about the regulatory side of things. So we will also talk to for instance, FDA. We're talking to FDA and EMA about all the things about the regulatory stuff around the use of AI. And what we aim for in the end is 3 million slides, as I said. Because a lot of the data that at this point is available in our field is cancer. We specifically will also focus a lot on non-oncological slides. And as I said, a lot of preclinical slides as well. And that is really not that much available. So if you look at, for instance, the non-neoplastic diseases, you can see we will really look at a whole range of lung, heart, normal tissues, liver, so a very broad range of different kinds of tissues and diseases. And also in cancer, we will look at a very broad range also, for instance, very rare cancer types. Now, I get to the end. This is a slide I used during one of our big picture meetings. We are now 2 years in the project. And it's interesting, this is a nice quote from Bill Gates, I think, who says, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. I think for this project, something went wrong here. The 10 should be replaced by 6, but then it should be a bit to the left. So basically, I think at this point, there is little I can show you. If you would approach me and tell me, okay, I want to be part of big picture, what can I do? I would have to tell you, sorry, you have to wait. We have some data, we have some contracts, we have a repository, but actually after 2 years, there is not that much. We have been doing a lot of work. There are more than 100 people working on this project in Europe. And still what you can see is very limited because a lot of the work really happens at a very low level. So I think for some people this is a bit disappointing, but I think, and this graph I think shows it very nicely. So here you can see what you think at the start is, okay, this is going to be great, right? In 1 year we will, be able to do everything. Actually, in reality, it takes time to really build this. And I think it will take more time. I'm very confident that we can do this, but it'll take time. But I think in the end, in a few years, we will really have a very rich repository with a lot of data. And I hope we have all the processes in place to really be able to share that data with everyone, with you, with other people, and really move forward with building AI, because I think AI is the future for pathology, and I hope big picture will play some part in that, in pushing this forward. So I think this is my last slide. So we engage and align with all the stakeholders, pathologists, AI scientists, very broad range, I told you this. And well, as I said, computational pathology is the future, so I hope we can play a bit of a role in that. Okay, thanks for your attention.
Well, thank you very much for this really, really interesting presentation. Can we ask a few questions?
Sure.
Well, you already answered to one of them. Like, can someone be involved in this project? So, as you said, we should wait that this project at least is ended.
Well, not that it's ended. So we already we have actually a lot of companies, but also people that have slides that want to participate. At this point, we can't offer them a lot, but we already try to communicate with people, because at some point we will need them, also within the project. But it's too early yet. At this point, we have too little data and also too little resources to collect data or to give out data. But if people are interested, they can always approach us, and we can already start to talk to people and involve them in a project.
Okay. Another question, and then I'll also give the possibility to the floor. Another question is, I mean, the usual suspect, how you're dealing with the regulation. Because also in the light of the changes that the European health data space is bringing, how do you manage that?
Yeah, so as I said, we try to engage with a lot of different stakeholders. So we have one legal firm in Brussels, for instance, that advises us.
Okay.
And we have a whole work package that really carefully looks at what is needed to collect the data, but also share the data, build AI. So we really try to be on top of that.
Okay.
So we have a whole, let's say, team of experts for that. It's too early to really give you, let's say, the outcome, to tell you this is the solution.
Okay.
I think it's very complicated. I think for me, this is the most complicated part of the project, and also maybe the most risky. I think building the infrastructure, collecting the data, those are the things we have done in the past. Having simple contracts between parties, we have done many times in the past. But actually collecting data at this large scale and hosting it and being able to share it with a lot of different parties is way, way more complicated.
Okay.
So there is not a solution to it yet, but we will try to deal with this by involving all the different stakeholders.
Okay. I don't know if there's any questions from... Okay, go ahead, Jean-Luc.
Where's me? I may be confusing with the date, but you started before the launch of the initiative on the health data space. Am I right? And are you going to join this, and how?
I have a hard time understanding.
If you started the project before the health data space was designed, and now you are going to join the health data space. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not sure what the health data space is, but I should probably know this.
Well, I think it's a new regulation on... it's an initiative based on a new regulation from the European Parliament on data privacy.
Okay,
data
no,
protection law.
We are not into that yet. No.
Okay.
I guess I should after today.
It's on the left side. Yes. Oh, okay.
Good morning. It's Javier Quiles from Galician Health Service. I wanted to ask you about standardization of data. Have you established some kind of standard to store the images and the data around and the labeling?
Yep. Yeah, so for the images, we decided to go for DICOM, which is a bit tricky because in pathology, DICOM is not used widely. But we established DICOM converters in this project. So we said, okay, we only take DICOM images because there are many different formats in pathology. So we established DICOM converters, and we ask everyone to convert their images into DICOM. Next to that, we have a working group in the project that has defined a standard for metadata. They are still defining that. A lot of debate about it. What should go in there? What is mandatory? What is optional? But we have a standard for metadata that we are discussing, and we have a first version of that. And on the technical side, we also have standards for how you should store the metadata in certain file formats. But this is really a lot of discussion because everyone has different ideas about what kind of metadata you want. And it's always a balance. If you require more metadata, your repository will become very rich. But the data provider will not be happy because they can't provide all the data. If you make it too small, the data provider is happy, but then the data user is not happy. So it's really finding that balance.
Yeah, I would like to mention the recent standard for metadata in this repository of healthcare data is called OMOP. Maybe you have heard about it. It's OMOP. And it's a definition of data structure, and they defined also a control vocabulary. So your data will be stored using SNOMED and some kind of common language, because otherwise if you use any kind of labeling, the content should also be standardized. So
Sure.
OMOP brings all that together, and we are moving a project around digital imaging and also pathology in Spain, and we are trying to go that way. So maybe this is an idea.
To be honest, I haven't heard of OMOP. I will look into it. We have we have a working group that looked at existing standards. So SNOMED CT is used as a basis for some fields. I have never heard OMOP, so I'm not sure if they looked into that. They must have, because I think they did a categorization of this. But I'll look into that. Yeah, I think definitely we should not have many standards, right? That's the whole thought of a standard, is that you don't do that. But in this field, it's very difficult, especially if in Europe you have all these different languages and different countries and different regulations. It's really tough to get to one standard. But I don't have to tell you that.
Other questions? I have a question about, you spoke about sustainability. After the 6 years, after you have validated this model and this project, what's the plan? I mean, because how researchers, innovators can then access, you're also thinking about a future governance and also linking, and I'm connecting with the Jean-Luc question, to the European strategies.
Yeah, so there should be some kind of structure to keep this alive. So now it's a project, but after 6 years there's no project anymore. So we should set up some whatever company or organization that can be big picture in the future. We are studying it now. We are only 2 years in the project, so we still have 4 years to go. And what we're doing now is we're really looking at, let's say, ways of making money with this data. Not making money, but making money to be able to sustain. So they are talking to a lot of people about, let's say, use cases, business cases, where you can, say, use the data and get money from. I think it's too early to really see how this will shape in the future. There should be some entity, big picture, Inc., whatever. But we are really investigating how we can set this up.
Okay.
So lot to be learned, I think, still.
No, because we were having a discussion about during one of our workshop on the ethics connected to the also data sharing and this new regulation that is coming up, and the expert who was there actually defined a potential conflict between private interests and public interests, because of course private companies are moving much faster than the public. So I was just wondering if the governance that you will be setting up will kind of balance these two interests and make sure that these data can be still accessed by the public and maybe connected to regional, national authorities that have a huge interest to build these kind of infrastructures, but maybe sometimes they lack capacity, some fundings, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's also maybe for you to think about a business, let's call it business model for sustainability to be more connected to public authorities.
Yeah, and one of the things we envision is that so people, let's say non-commercial parties that are part of the project, if they bring in, for instance, data or AI models, they should also get something in return, which means, so if you bring in your data, it could be that we give you access to AI models that are built, or that it gives you access to more data. So if you bring in 500 breast cancers, you could get access to 5,000 breast cancers. Or we also envision that people that take data but make annotations to the data and share the annotations, they could also get discounts, whatever. So I think for academics, there are many ways of being involved without paying a lot of money for the data. Yeah.
Any other questions? Go ahead. Yeah, you have a mic on the rest, armrest on the right. There. You can see it's a little. Yeah, you have to press the button.
I hope it's working. Yes. Big picture is picture, but it's also pathology, and you're dealing a lot with cancer. Is there a plan for the future to link the imaging with the genomics, or is that something you do actually?
Basically, technically that's possible, especially because we built our technology on Elixir technology, so the EGA technology. So from a technical point of view, you can just have, let's say, identifiers that link the two. So within big picture, we did not plan or fund any molecular data or genomics data. But basically, if you would have genomics data in the EGA, you could link it to big picture. I think one of the biggest problems there is not so much technological, but is just collecting the data. I know from experience, I've been in pathology for a long time, and I know it's very difficult to get very large data sets with good annotations, with all the variations in it. Getting that for pathology is difficult, and getting it for pathology combined with genetics, of course, is even more difficult. So I think collecting the data is probably the biggest hurdle. From a technological point of view, we can do it, but at this point we did not plan for it in this project because it's going to be much more complicated and much more expensive. But we can do it in the future. So if someone would come to us with this kind of data and would want to share it, we would be able to do it. Yeah.
Just a little comment in addition. There are several other European projects dealing with genomics and with CDS software, clinical support decision softwares. I think it would be a very good link between both of them.
Okay, yeah, good thought.
We can discuss later.
Yeah, I think we can bring questions to the coffee break. Thanks a lot, Jeroen, for your presentation. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, do you prefer?
So good morning, and thanks again to be here. Now it's the time for our Best Practices Award ceremony. So I will not take you too much time as we are a bit in delay. But first of all, I will thank all of the people that participate and apply to the Best Practice Award. One of the core activities of the project was to gather best practices in order to showcase regional realities that are contributing into the implementation of personalized medicine. And so today we are going to see the presentation of the winners of the 5KA that were the pillar of the project. So big data, health technology in connected and integrated care, personalized and health industry, innovation flow in healthcare, and ethics and socioeconomic aspects. The application, the call was opened the 28th of October and closed the 18th of January. We had many applications, and thanks again. And I would like also to thank the evaluator for their efforts, those that are here and those that are attending online. So Gabriel Samuel, Victoria Trajenko, Riccardo Bellazzi, Jens Helwagen, really apologize for the pronunciation, sorry, Javier Quiles del Rio, Christoph Michel, and Olaf Müller. I'm also glad and honored to be here and to flank Dr. Olga Golubnovska, sorry again, that will present to us all about the EPMA journal, that is the Journal of Predictive, Preventive, and Personalized Medicine. The awarded will be published in a special issue of the journal that Olga is going to present us. And then we will also discuss some of editorial guidelines that will be followed to produce the paper from the best practices that you presented. So please, Olga, the floor is yours.
So while you go to there, I also would like to join in the thanking the EPMA. What we were why we engaged with the journalists, because when we developed the call, we wanted to give the possibility to disseminate these best practices. So we approached Olga and her journal that were very, very keen to provide the idea of a special issue because we needed to publish in an open access way. So instead of paying for the fees of open access, she proposed to have a joint collaboration in a way that we would do the review and the journal would consider the publication of these papers and best practices. So thanks again for your support.
Thank you very much, Gianni. Thank you very much, Letizia. Just for the beginning, I would like to say that I'm very happy in this environment. So I really appreciated your presentations yesterday. I think that everybody brought important issues for the discussion and to the point. So really very, very good ideas, good recommendations, and even the appeal which was coming from the Polish group that in current time, which is very turbulent, we really need to cooperate together. And I know exactly what you are talking about. Golubnitchaya, my name originated from Ukraine. I was born in Ukraine, but it was previous century. The situation was completely different. But I can tell you, even from my family's history, that we are people coming together from Poland. My grandmother is from Lodz, from Sweden, from Germany, from Czechoslovakia, from France, and even my daughter-in-law is from Lombardia, from Pavia. So we are speaking 6 languages in the family, and I know exactly how difficult, sometimes to find together in this multicultural environment. And talking in terms of personalized medicine, this is really a challenge to come together, because yesterday several colleagues mentioned the problem that we are, some of us from medical field, some of us are biologists, IT people, mathematicians, and so on, biobanking, biopreservation, policymakers, and each group is talking their own language. So it is really not simple, but it is essential to come together if we really mean it seriously to promote personalized medicine. No? I will take a water. Oh. Thank you very much. Namaste. Thank you. So, they are award providers, we are award conductors. So probably it's your royal right to learn a little bit more about what the association is about. The history started in 2008. Plenty of experts involved now in EPMA are also involved in evaluation panels in the European Commission. So in 2008, during the coffee breaks, people come together discussing that time framework program 7. And people were quite unhappy, saying that this is absolutely clear that the program is about research for research. Where are the patients? Where are the end users? So this was the really strong criticism towards the FP7. And people started to think about, and we were very, very happy and thankful that time for the initiative to create Horizon 2020. Jean-Luc was one of the leaders organizing the workshops of European Commission, and European Commission has invited EPMA, which has been created in 2008. 27 countries altogether. And so EPMA was involved in all of the workshops around the preparation of Horizon 2020, important historical year 2010. Then 2011, the first World Congress of EPMA in our old Bundestag, old parliament in Bonn. Already 35 countries are coming together. Also, John Bovis was involved that time, health minister of UK, coming to share ideas what we need to promote, how to promote the future of healthcare. And this was the meeting where actually the European Alliance of Personalized Medicine, EAPM, was born at this meeting in Bonn in 2011. So at that time, the director of IMI, Michael Goldman, said that EAPM, I thought that this is just a mistake in pronunciation of European Association of Predictive Preventive Personalized Medicine. No, it was not a mistake. We decided to divide the competencies because Alliance, they were more at the side of big pharmaceutical companies, very important for personalized medicine, but rather for secondary and tertiary care. And EPMA was promoting the new paradigm to move from reactive medicine to predictive, preventive, and personalized. Why? Because you know that the secondary care, tertiary care, of course, very, very important, but very, very costly. And this is going on also to the cost of life quality of the patients. So that's why this paradigm change to be early and not always to run behind the train, to do something, you know, with all our tools, what we discussed here, to go before the pathology is clinically manifested. So in 2013, we made the EPMA World Congress in the European Parliament here in Brussels. And before organizing the Congress, we called all the members of the Parliament saying that, you know, we are a European Association for 3P medicine. We would like to make personalized. You know, the majority of Parliament members said, don't tell me about your personalized medicine. I don't want to hear about that because you always come to us and asking for money. Because even to develop one medication, you need $1 billion. I don't want to hear anymore from your personalized medicine. And we said that, no. What we provide you is completely different philosophy, you know. So we would like to save money for you. Interesting, let's talk, you know. So this was 2013. A lot of things happen in between, and now we are together. So I would like to show you, yesterday we discussed only three slides, there's so little. So this is the current situation in the reactive medicine, you know, so we really run behind the train. That's why we need to change the paradigm. Think about the cohort of diabetic patients, and now there are more than 500 million patients worldwide. With this amount of patients only in the cohort of diabetes, you know, forget about personalization. It is not possible to do simply from economical consideration. It is simply not possible. So that's why the change in the paradigm, so where we are currently here, so we wait till the clinical manifestation of the disorder, and this is our operation area, because, you know, the pathology is manifested, it should be treated, everything is clear. Just an example for you, because it is not only economy, it is also very much doubtful ethics behind this paradigm. Just an example for you. A couple of months ago, a 22-year-old girl delivered at our neurological clinic in Bonn. Headache since a couple of months, headache. So the general practitioner prescribed you aspirin, didn't work, 6 months of aspirin. So finally she said that, I cannot anymore, do something. So she was delivered University of Excellence, Neurological Clinic, Bonn. So MRI demonstrated plenty of metastasis in brain. And afterwards, the oncologist started to look for the original tumor, and it was below 1 centimeter triple negative breast cancer, 22 years old. So you can imagine that, of course, economy is disaster, but also ethics. This is the problem. So our reactive approach, it goes really to the cost of life quality of our patients. So that's why this different paradigm to operate in the upper area. So before the manifestation of the disorder, including, first of all, individualized patient profiling, predictive diagnosis, and targeted prevention. So actually everything what we were talking about yesterday is exactly involved in this area. So these are usually people in suboptimal health with whom frequently ping pong will play because they go to general practitioner with headache or minor uncomfortable feeling, and they don't find anything. They are not skilled. They don't have the tool to work with suboptimal health. So they say either usual medication or let us wait what will happen, or they will say, okay, go to, you have around the corner, you have the University of Excellence, go there, probably they will find something. They say that, sorry, but we work with severe cases. We are not responsible for, I don't feel comfortable, it is not our cohort of patients. So go look probably for, I don't know, so people who work with psychological predisposition, probably your migraine with aura and so on. And then we deal with these patients with 22 years old, which are already terribly sick, So that's why this area is extremely difficult and almost not possible to work with this, because as we heard yesterday, an excellent presentation from Saxonia yesterday, that big pharmaceutical companies, they have a relatively simple life because the treatment is necessary, but for startups, a real innovation, small and medium enterprises who bring real innovation for this area, it is absolutely not simple to survive. We don't have the instruments how to support them, how to support this innovation, how to bring it from bench to bedside, So this is really, particularly with your audience, this is exactly the issue which we should talk about. So considering all these problems, in 2010 we have created the EPMA journal. We succeeded because still the journal is unique in the world, providing excellent papers, very minor amount, so we have not more than 40 papers in the year, so we are extremely selective. So this is really an award to publish in the EPMA journal, because this is the journal is among 5 top journals in the world in the category health policy. So it means that really what is expected from us is to demonstrate what is status quo and what is the roadmap for the implementation, including all these aspects. It is not only personalized treatment. Personalized treatment is at the end. First, you should learn individualized patient profile. You should start learning the patient, trying to do it within the primary health care, and avoiding secondary and palliative medicine. So the journal is top 2% in the world. we are very happy to work with your winners, definitely. So congratulations to this. It is a huge achievement, And even more, we discussed with Gianni and with Toscana Life Science Foundation that we don't want to restrict our selection for the future for minor group, because as we discussed yesterday, this is the matter for the whole population. What we are doing not only for ourselves, we are doing for everybody in the European Union, even in the world. So, and this is what we should bring this message to the population. What we do for you. So cooperate, please. And in terms of cooperation with the patient, you know, this is completely different situation. For example, the oncologists have published a pilot project that they have asked the opinion of patients during palliative care, during secondary prevention. For example, establish cancer to prevent against metastasis, secondary level of care. No? So if patient opinion is involved in this process, the outcome is worse. In contrast, that if citizens do understand what is behind the sustainability of their health, that they can save money if they follow the recommendation. So we are talking in terms of suboptimal health, in terms of primary care. So if they are involved, and this is also demonstrated in several pilot studies, that outcomes are better. So that's why it should be really, we should discriminate, be very careful in what we are saying, what we need in terms of very fine expertise for oncology, for example, because there's a huge knowledge, big data, so we cannot just discuss it with people who are really not involved in this, you know. So we should provide them with solution, not asking them how to do. You know, and opposite is to motivate people to take responsibility of their health as long as they are not sick. These are completely two different situations. And for this, what we discuss with Gianni, also we have additional instrument, namely book series, Advances in Predictive, Preventive and Personalized Medicine. This is the educational tool, not only for professionals, but also for public, for citizens. And this is very important to use, particularly for education purposes. And it is not less interesting for the population that some of the volumes are downloaded about half of million times. So this book series is extremely popular. So I just yesterday met some patients here in Brussels, and they say, I know about this book, very, very interesting. And talking about that, just to give you a message from Wrocław, because our national representative in Wrocław is Professor Halina Podbielska, Polytech. So, and they are together with Slovak colleagues, they are currently preparing the very important volume named PPPM Strategies from Bench to Bedside. So we expect extremely high interest to this, so we are open to discuss with Toscana Foundation how we can involve your group in the preparation of this educational tool. So, so far about this introduction. The next EPMA Congress is in Australia in September 24. For sure, we will discuss how involved your group. It can be done also online. We try to save money, not only with medical approaches, but also with traveling. So let us discuss your involvement. We will be happy to have your presentations. So thank you very much for your attention.
Let us
Let us begin.